worker syndrome, a corrupt practice that injected thousands of non-existing workers into the government payroll system. The syndicate behind this monumental fraud was busted, which led to the government saving over 200 billion naira as nearly 50,000 ghost workers were removed from government payroll system. Still in the efforts to check leakages, the federal government, in a directive issued in 2015, called for the reinforcement of the Treasury Single Account (TSA). The directive ordered all ministries, departments and agencies of government to commence payment of all government revenues into the TSA accounts. The EFCC again keyed into this pronouncement. Operatives of the Commission, in a swift investigation, discovered over 100 billion naira hidden away by defaulting agencies. This calculated move now saves the government over 24 billion naira monthly. The Commission's investigation activities received a further boost with the coming into force of the federal government's whistleblower policy. The policy, which was initiated in December 2016, is primarily to support the fight against financial crimes and corruption by increasing exposure of financial crimes and rewarding whistleblowers. The EFCC quickly created reporting portals via its social media platforms at Official EFCC and through dedicated phone lines. The very first call which came through led to the discovery of $9.8 million hidden in the slums of Sabon Tasha, Kaduna State. The money is said to belong to Dr. Andrew Yakubu, a former group managing director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC. The funds are under an interim forfeiture order, even as Yakubu challenged the court order. Still in Kaduna, following a tip-off, the EFCC also intercepted the sum of about 250 million naira in sacks at the Kaduna International Airport after the bags were sighted unattended to. In Lagos, another tip from a whistleblower led to the interception of 250 million naira in various currencies at a popular textile market in the city. And in the shopping plaza located in the highbrow area of Victoria Island, also in Lagos, the sum of about 500 million naira was also uncovered. The most unbelievable discovery was, however, that of Asban Towers, also in Ikoyi, Lagos, where a whopping cache of over 13 billion naira in local and foreign currencies were discovered in an apartment on the 7th floor of the towers. These funds have now been forfeited to the federal government. In addition to cash and properties, the EFCC Eagle Eyes also cited and recovered several vehicles suspected to be proceeds of crime. Amongst them are 17 vehicles linked to a former Comptroller General of Customs, Abdullah Idiko Inde. The EFCC also waged into the over 20 billion naira pension scam. Several individuals alleged to have stolen pension funds and laundered them were arrested and are currently facing charges. Notably amongst them is Sani Shoaibu Tedi, a former Director of Pension Accounts, Office of the Heads of Civil Service of the Federation, and the suspended Director General of the Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, PTAD, Nelly Meshak. Serving judges and very senior lawyers are equally standing trial for corruption. They include Justice Rita Ajumogobia and Justice Nwali S. Nguta, amongst others. Also being prosecuted are senior advocates of Nigeria, SAN, including Ricky Tafa and Joseph Nwobike, amongst others. Joseph Nwobike has, however, been convicted to 12 months imprisonment for perversion of justice. Serving and former heads of government agencies also felt the EFCC squeeze. Patrick Akpobolokemi, a former Director General, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, and 8 others are being prosecuted on the 40 counts charge bordering on money laundering and stealing. Others are Abba Moro, former Minister of Interior, and Steve Orosai, former heads of service, who are also standing trial for offences ranging from recruitment and pension fraud. Former state governors are also being prosecuted for various offenses. They include Joshua Dariye, former governor of Plateau State; Jolly Inyame, former governor of Taraba State; Oji Uzo Kalu, former governor of Abia State; and Ikedi Oakim, former governor of Imo State. Others are Alao Akala, former governor of Oyo State; Murtala Inyako, former governor of Adamawa State, alongside his son Abdulaziz Inyako; Ibrahim Shema, former governor of Katsina State; Sele Lamido, former governor of Jigawa State, and his sons Aminu and Mustafa; and their Benue State counterpart Gabriel Suswan and his finance commissioner Omodachi Okolobia. In terms of convictions, the EFCC recorded about 500 convictions from 2015, when the present administration came on board, to May 2018. Those convicted include a former governor of Adamawa State, Bala Ingelari, to 5 years in jail for procurement fraud, though later upturned by the appeal court, but the EFCC has since filed an appeal against the ruling. A former local government chairman in Kogi State, Gabriel Daudu, was sentenced to 5 years in jail for money laundering, and 3 oil marketers, Walter Wagbasona, Ada Ugo Ngadi, and Jibril Rawaye, alongside their companies, were also sentenced to 10 years imprisonment for oil subsidy fraud. Other notable convictions include that of Accountant General of Kebbi State, Mohammed Arzika Aikengari, who bagged 70 years imprisonment for his involvement in over 1 billion naira fraud. An undergraduate of Kuala Lumpur Metropolitan University, Malaysia, Hope Olusegun Aroke, was sentenced to 24 years imprisonment for his involvement in internet fraud. The commission also secured an extradition order from Justice Abdul Kafarati of the Federal High Court in Abuja for the extradition of Franca Asemota, a Nigerian fugitive, to the United Kingdom for offences bordering on trafficking of minors, and 9 foreigners alongside their visa, MT Asterix, to 5 years imprisonment for illegal oil bunkering. This is just to mention a few. In the area of international collaborations, the EFCC has also been actively involved in the efforts to repatriate stolen Nigerian assets abroad. This calculated exercise has seen the Commission engaging countries that are believed to be nests of stolen assets. Despite the modest impact that the Commission's enforcement efforts have recorded, the Commission is of the firm belief that law enforcement actions alone cannot win the war against corruption in Nigeria. To this extent, the EFCC gave a boost to its preventive mandate by creating various sensitization programs in order to educate and enlighten the public about the ills of corruption. Awareness roadworks are organized quarterly in order to draw more attention to the anti-graft fight. The Commission also airs anti-corruption programs on leading radio and television networks in Nigeria, even as the social media has been fully embraced as a vehicle for mobilization and information dissemination. Through its Enlightenment and Reorientation Unit, the EFCC has created various enlightenment programs for schools, youth, women groups, religious bodies, and other government agencies. And in a bid to draw more attention to the crusade, the Commission has also embraced the use of music by organizing musical concerts across the country. The Clean Hands campaign was also launched in Abuja and across other geopolitical zones. The program was designed to promote the values of integrity and probity among the younger generation. The Creative Youth Initiative was also unveiled in October 2016. The idea was conceived out of the need to give children a platform to express themselves using arts and various talents in order to speak against corruption. Women Against Corruption, also known as WAC, was added to the EFCC campaign strategy with the flag off of the program in Abuja by wife of the president, Hajia Aisha Buhari, in December 2016. The same program was rolled out in February 2017 in Lagos with wives of all the southwestern governors and notable society women present at the event. other geopolitical zones are billed to follow soon. For its unrelenting efforts in championing the war against corruption in Nigeria, the EFCC has received several commendations both home and abroad. In August 2017, the EFCC was rated as the most effective government agency in Nigeria in a report conducted by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC. The City People magazine, during its 20th City People Awards for Excellence, also recognized the Commission as the most effective government agency in the country for the year 2016. Magu was also honored with the 2016 Person of the Year award by Leadership newspapers. Indeed, slowly but steadily, the anti-graft agency is altering the narrative of criminal prosecution in Nigeria and setting a standard for law enforcement agencies within and outside the country. Global confidence has been restored as several donor organizations and foreign law enforcement agencies collaborate with the EFCC, which is opening fresh lines of partnership and collaboration. The EFCC has displayed that courage and dedicated leadership can bring an end to the menace of corruption in Nigeria. And going by the President Muhammadu Buhari's words, if we don't kill corruption, corruption will kill Nigeria. Let us all rise to this challenge.
Indeed, slowly but surely, the Anti-Graft Agency is altering the narrative of criminal prosecution in Nigeria and setting a standard for law enforcement agency within and outside of the country. It is believed that all Nigerians will support the EFCC in its quest for a corrupt-free Nigeria. Please join the fight, as the responsibility is a collective one. And that's all we have for you on this episode of The Eagle. You too can be part of this program by sending your inquiries and suggestions to The Eagle at efccnigeria.org, or search for us on Google Plus at Official EFCC, Official EFCC NG at gmail.com. You can like our page on facebook.com/Official EFCC, or follow us on Twitter at Official EFCC. And of course, you can visit our Instagram page at Official EFCC. To watch our programs and other activities, please log on to youtube.com/Official EFCC. My name is Aisha Mohammed, hoping to see you next week. Always remember that a public office is a public trust, and do not abuse positions of trust for private gains. Goodbye, and God bless Nigeria.
As usual, I am excited today. Like, AY has done a whole lot for people. I'm not just his baby mama, I am his manager. And we all know that Wizkid had he had numbers of baby mamas. And
he said you don't need some leaders of the National Assembly.
The worst form of democracy is said to be better than the best form of military regime.
We are trying to build political blocks.
Just days after he defected from your party, I believe is the politics taking too far.
Members of the new board of Police Service Commission.
You know, the thoughts of the fact that his seat should be declared vacant because we have some states that have experienced, some level of insecurity.
The headship or the leadership of the Senate or the House of Representatives.
But I have gone beyond that now, beyond partisanship.
I don't think a lot of you know the crisis in the APC.
We know that the people of the country are getting more information about what is happening to us.
With what you know about the person, you can go ask yourself.
But one of the things I've come to observe is that
I'm the Agberu. That made me like this Agberu.
He don't need PVC. He don't need PVC. I was trying to convince him.
News emerged that Jones Abiri, a Bayelsa-based journalist, is out on bail. And there's nothing, of course, that makes them to have this guy.
As a citizen, first of all, every citizen has the right. What is happening in society, what is happening everywhere around him.
From that day, Saraki knew that he was a madman in the APC.
He should ask his people who leaked the information. That is his business.
This is not the first time JSS was taking over the National Assembly.
It may be extremely very difficult to remove a Senate president.
But the question is the viability of most of these 91 political parties.
Of course, you can't prosecute without investigation.
It will be easier for you to have those people with the like minds to join you.
Hello viewers, welcome to this edition of your darling program Banking and You. I'm your regular host Jerry Ojonuga, and today we shall be discussing check confirmation. And to discuss this with me, I have a discussant in the house, my colleague Aki Akinleye. You are welcome to the program. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Today we shall be discussing a very crucial aspect of banking. This has really caused issues. This has really faulted a lot of frauds in time past. Shall we take a look at check confirmation? What is check confirmation?
Check confirmation is instruction given to the bank to allow the bank to be able to make payments on a certain instrument, or what we call.
Who gave this instruction?
The instruction comes from the customer.
Now when we talk about check confirmation, it has to do solely on current accounts.
Yes.
Because in the current account we are issued a check. We have different kind of accounts in the bank, and essentially we have the savings account, we have the current account, and we have the investment account, which will come in the form of fixed deposit. And the only account that allows a third-party transaction is a current account, yes, where you can issue a check and the person goes for a check confirmation. Goes for withdrawal, where you confirm the check before the transaction is executed. Is it necessary you confirm all checks?
No, not necessarily, but some customers have threshold on their accounts. Okay, but when a check carries a certain value, maybe an unusual value, for instance, maybe usually the transaction that runs on that account has a certain value to it, or the value involved is a value that there has been a request by
it's not according to pattern.
It's not a pattern on that account. Then of course the customer in some other cases have requested that any time a certain amount of money is to be paid or a certain threshold is to be paid, that they must get confirmation, or there must be a confirmation attached to it for the payment to be effected.
Now the essence of this episode is not to breach the bank control measures on check confirmation, but what we are trying to do is to educate the customers, because most times some people say, I have my check, I have written the check amount, I gave it to somebody and signed on it. Why is it that you need to call me to do a confirmation? It is my check, you can go out and pay. I've been on that desk before. I want to, because some persons are pissed off that why are you calling me to confirm my check? Now, who has the responsibility really to confirm a check?
At the account opening, at the point in which the relationship was being consummated, was being established with the bank, the customer will issue out a mandate. Most of the time we issue a mandate, and the mandate may state A and so should sign. A should sign a loan, that is a company account or corporate account.
Where there are more than one or two
signatories. But if it's just the sole signatory, for instance, it may say any check above so and so amount needs confirmation from me. Okay, we require confirmation. Or all checks, all of my checks require confirmation. It's the responsibility of the bank to keep to the instruction of the customer. The money doesn't belong to the bank. The bank only owes the money in trust as custodians for the customer. Yes.
Now you just say something now. The customer's responsibility or the bank's responsibility?
It's both of them, because remember that the customer will go to the bank.
Okay.
The third party will go to the bank.
Okay.
Okay. So there must be some form of relationship between the bank and the owner of the account, from which the check is being drawn.
Okay.
Okay. So it's that customer that gives instruction to the bank that whenever my instruments are presented for payment, this and this and these are the things you have to look for to be sure that it's coming from you and that payment can be made to that customer.
Okay. But when you look at check confirmation at times, just as you said, depends on the customer relationship with the bank. Now I know some customers that will put an instruction that confirm all checks. Whenever you see my, that means that even if you are issuing a check of 20,000 naira, 5,000 naira is subject to confirmation. And for even some that have their mandate open, I know banks have some threshold. Once you are doing a third-party transaction, it's up to 250,000. Some people must call the account holder, 500,000. Some people will call the account holder. Now, let's consider a case where a customer left a standing instruction that any transaction on my account is subject to confirmation. Now, you and I know that in calling the customer, I use my airtime. Is it the responsibility of the customer in that case to call the bank, or the bank is still obligated to service the customer by confirming?
The same challenge the bank has in calling the customer could also be on the other side too, the challenge of the customer in reaching the bank. Okay, there may be network issues and all that, but the truth about it is that once you have a situation like that, I'm also aware. I'm also aware that banks have account of bank customer account officers. Those account officers actually a lot of times stand as a go-between the bank at times, being a bank representative at the same time having a relationship with the customer. So a lot of times I've seen a situation where some customers, before you get to pay any of their customers or pay anybody they've issued checks to, most times they would have sent that check detail to their account officer. That is one set. Another group are the group that they type out the details of the checks. Okay, maybe they are issuing more than one check. They type out the details of the check and send it by mail. Okay, personal mail to the bank. The bank prints it out and acts on it. Some of them send letterheads, for instance. Do the same thing, sign off, so that whoever it is that wants to pay can verify the signature. Okay, can knock off the check number, the amount in words, the date and all that on the check before eventually it is processed for payment. Okay, but basically, different individuals, different styles, different banks. But once a customer has told you that he wants every of his checks confirmed, you must find a way of confirming those checks. If you can't reach the customer, it may be difficult for you to pay because it's not your money.
Well, I think it still boils down to customer security of customers' fund. The customer has a responsibility just as the bank equally has. I think I've managed such an account before where the mandate of that account was to confirm all checks. And the good thing about this man is that before he as he's issuing that check, he's sending a confirmation to the account officer.
Yeah.
So for what you are saying, therefore means every single account holder has an account officer. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, most banks do that, especially those with current account. I know, I'm also aware, because the banks try to drive targets. I'm also aware that some of the targets that are given to them are also given to them on savings accounts.
Yes.
Okay, so I know that there will be some form of a relationship officer to more than one savings account holder to pay the same thing with current account. But basically, the current account holder usually has that special benefit at times where a particular account officer can actually sit down and manage the accounts for them. All the other transactions that go with it.
Wow. It therefore means that every individual that has a bank account has an account officer.
Yes.
You have a responsibility to go back to the bank and find out who your account officer is. Yeah. Not necessarily if your money is running in millions. Yeah. So no matter your level you have an account officer attached to you. Now, in those days, I know they usually release a relationship letter to customers. That letter carries your account number, it carries your relationship manager and all that. Do we still do that today?
I think they still do.
It still runs today?
It still runs.
Our dear viewers at home, we have been discussing check confirmation. And check confirmation is one of the control measures that the banks carries out on the current account to avoid fraud. It mitigates against fraud on a current account. Now, for a check confirmation, you have so many responsibilities as account holder. You have to send the name of the person drawing on that account. You send the check number, you give them the dates, and the person goes to the bank to present the check for cash. Now, when such confirmations are not done, that check will not be honored. No, yeah. Now, I've come to understand at times in the bank, when you tell a third party that please, I want to confirm this check, can you please hold on? Then the next thing they get piece of, do I look like a thief? Do I look like an armed robber or something? Why are you confirming the check? Is it the first time you are seeing me here? Now, what is your advice for our esteemed viewers out there?
Basically, a lot of times, it's a two-way thing. I want to advise the banks, especially the customer service staff on the customer service desk. There are ways in which you present a thing to a third party that will not cause any problem. Yeah. You won't have any challenges with them. Okay. Then secondly, they need to be explained to that you see you don't have a responsibility towards them. You have a responsibility towards the person,
the owner of the account. You don't need to explain to them why you are so
that you don't have a responsibility, and that's all. And that if they were the ones in that same situation, that's exactly the way you are going to treat a customer who are coming with their own checks.
Now, the top person will tell you, I just spoke with this person, and you are trying it from your decks, and the number is not going through. Maybe that number has been stolen, and he went about get another number without updating the bank. In that case, can I confirm a check based on that phone number?
No. You won't confirm a check based on that phone number. That is why the person has an account officer.
Okay.
The customer service staff how to get in touch with the account officer, because when you call up the account on the system, you see the name of the relationship manager.
Yes.
Okay, so you call up that relationship manager and say, this is the situation I have with this account. Okay, let him get back to you with confirmation. It's better that way. A staff in the bank will sign off. I've spoken with the customer, I'm the account officer. That way, is safe. The customer is safe, his funds are safe. The person who has come to collect money is sure that one way or the other is not doing anything.
I begin to have problem. The problem I'm having is this: you are a bank staff seated in operations, people have their operations thing. Now this amount is what you can sign on and confirm from. So why do you need to call an account officer that is maybe in Ibadan or Osogbo somewhere, and I'm in Lagos for a transaction? Why can't you use your own discretion to confirm it? And you still need to get across to him. Don't worry, when we get back from this break, we shall be explaining that. Because I don't really know the control measures behind that. You are a bank staff, the account officer is the bank staff. Now, you are seeing me here, why can't you just confirm my check and pay me? You need to get back to the account officer to get a confirmation from him. When we come back from this break, we shall be talking about the control aspect of why an operations person cannot just pay you and needed a further confirmation from your account officer. Banking and You is here to educate you to know more about banking, industry, and transaction in Nigeria. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back. Good to know that you are still there. It's still your program, Banking and You, where we educate you about some banking transaction in Nigeria. Now, we're talking before we went to that break about why is it that the operations person cannot confirm my check.
The operations
still have to wait.
And the operations person is not the relationship officer. It's as simple as that. You see, I've had some experiences, many years too, in banking. I've had some experiences. There was a particular case. You see, at times when people want to steal from an account, they don't issue a big figure.
Okay.
They start out with 10,000 naira. Then the 10,000 naira sails through. Because you see, the operations staff has his own limits too. Okay. So he wants to impose his own limit on a customer who is managed by somebody else. He pays that money out. Then at another time again, maybe 2-3 days later, they try the second one. This time is 20,000, 30,000. And they go on like that. Eventually, what will eventually happen is that, you see, you believe that when the debit was being done or done on the account, what should happen is that there should be a reflection on the customer's phone. So there is a suggestion that if the customer did not complain the first time, he did not complain the second time,
probably must have lost that phone.
He either has lost the phone
on T-alerts,
or is actually aware of it and he permits it. So that's what I'm saying now. So that is why it's important that whatever it is, let the liability be borne by the account officer. Let the liability be borne by the account officer. The account officer knows the person beyond. In fact, in some interesting cases that I have discovered, account officers usually have other numbers
of the customer
by which they can reach.
And they know his voice.
They know his voice. They know how he talks. So many things about
it. If it's under pressure, because somebody can be on your head with gun and say confirm this check to them. Because I've had an issue like that. When the account officer called the Baba, he said the Baba doesn't talk like this. And in his own, in our own wisdom, he kept the check for like 2-3 hours using a delayed tactics. The Baba later called back that he was at a gun point when he was calling for confirmation. That was an intelligent one, that transaction couldn't pull through. Now, with what you are saying, therefore, means for a current account, everything about that account has to be up to date. Both the email,
everything has to be up to date. So anytime you have a challenge with anything, any information, or you've changed anything, it's important you let your bank know as soon as possible. Why? You don't want them delaying your customer if you send somebody with a check. And two, you don't want to be swindled of your hard-earned money. So that's just it.
And for what you are saying, definitely it's not all about clone check. When somebody gets access to your check booklet, they can tear out.
And forge your signature.
And can force your signature.
There's a lot of people can do.
So on the part of the customer, you need to secure your check.
Yes.
Your check is like your ATM.
Yes.
You need to keep it without opening it, place it anywhere that anybody can find. Now, we still experience clone check in this country.
As long as they are fraudsters, clone checks will continue to be.
Now,
it's just that it seems to have reduced. Why? Because of the use of electronic devices now.
Okay.
So some of the people that have committed fraud on checks have moved from check-related issues because of all the logistics. They've moved to the electronic, the internet thing and all that. So they do a lot of fraud on that place now.
Now, most times, you know, this third party, they like claiming I2 or something of that nature. Some of them will keep you on pressure. Why are you confirming this check? Maybe take, for instance, you need to get across to the customer. Probably it's not even a check confirmation thing. Maybe there's a shortfall in the amount. The current account has maybe 200,000.
And by law, confidentiality, you are not supposed to disclose
to the third
party that it doesn't have that amount of money.
Can we please on this platform, let me tell our customers that the banker has no obligation to disclose the information of the account holder to you. All you need to tell is to hold on, I'm working on it. But most times we discover that bankers will tell you I'm working on transaction, and I'm spending 1 hour, I'm spending 2 hours. What should be the ideal turnaround? Talking about global best practice.
No, global best practices. I come into a bank with a check. I walk up to the cashier. Okay? The cashier notifies the customer service, or if he has access to the account officer, notifies the account officer. Do you have confirmation for this check? Yes, I have confirmation for this check. Prints a copy of the confirmation, attaches it to the check, and treats the check. Maximum 5 minutes. The customer should be out of the bank. Except in special cases, maximum 5 minutes, the customer should be out of the bank. The basic turnaround time for check transactions should be not more than 5 minutes.
Well, why the customer's his own responsibility, I think our customers should understand at this point that the bank has a sole responsibility to equally protect your money. At times they will call you for a confirmation and you don't even know the reason why they are calling you. Professionally, they are trained. Take for instance, all your transaction has been happening in somewhere like in Lokoja, for instance, and all of a sudden a check on your same account is being presented in Lagos. Yeah. Now that is not a pattern of a withdrawal. It looks suspicious. It's now meant for the bank to go extra mile to do a confirmation, because I have done that on 2 occasions, and the customer will tell me, why are you confirming it? Pay the young man and let him get out there. He has been bothering me, my goods are whatever. But well, you never can tell which one will be a fraud.
Okay, for instance, like an account that has always witnessed an inflow of, in a year, maybe 10 million. But a particular year, suddenly first month you see 100 million in that account. Even for a customer of the bank, there are ways in which even the bank itself seeks to be sure that whatever it is that is coming in,
even when my account,
they have to like
they have source document for that money.
They have to be sure that. So it's just the same thing. It's about protecting all the parties involved. People need to understand.
And I believe that the bank, like in the case you just mentioned now, for such an inflow, they can report to the FCC.
Yeah, they can report to the
FCC. They do a transaction report to that
amount more than
certain amounts, which are not be mentioned here because of security reasons. Now there are some things that will be required of you. So maybe whenever you have a heavy transaction inflow to your account and there is a demand on you to provide such documents, they are not saying that you are a criminal. They are just saying that justify the means of this inflow. So don't get pissed off and begin to create unnecessary sin in the banking, because of course some of these things nobody tells you at the point of account opening. But as the relationship grows and we begin to do a better turnover, there will be a need for a control measure that will come in that will place some demand on you. It's still your program. We have been discussing check confirmation. We'll be right back after this time out. Don't go away. Yeah, welcome back. We have been discussing check confirmation. Now, how do you know the person you are talking to on phone? Maybe probably I calling my phone and my wife is there picking it up, confirming the check to you.
Your wife can't confirm a check to me.
Then how will the account officer know?
Because the account officer over a period of time has had some form of relationship with the customer. Yes. So he knows the voice and all that. But the account officer or the relationship manager will not in any occasion take instruction from your wife on your own account. In fact, your wife doesn't have the right, neither does the husband have the right to know what is in the account, except they are both joint signatories to that account. In other words, each individual are treated separately and privately with utmost confidentiality.
Based on that, I want to say that there are certain questions the account officer will ask you. Maybe he would have asked you yesterday, he will still ask you today, and he will still ask you till tomorrow to confirm your check. Some of them will ask you something like your date of birth. So for some of us that have about 3-4 dates of birth, I don't know which one is on that account. So you ask your date of birth, you ask your address, you ask your emails, at times they ask your mother's maiden name.
Yes.
Of course, your mother will not change. So you have like anybody that has 2 or 3 mothers. So your mother's maiden name will be there. You will be saying, you asked me this question yesterday. Some of the accountants now, that you need to confirm your check. Know that some of these questions are deliberate to really ascertain that you are the person confirming the check. Now, lastly, before we go, once I lost my checkbook, what do I do?
Well, very quickly. You have an account officer.
Okay.
Notify your account officer.
Okay.
Before you eventually get to the bank to report. Then, of course, every other thing that has to do with police report and all that. But basically, at that given time, you let the bank know
so that they can stop.
So that they can stop any payment on that check series. Okay. So that your funds can be secure and the bank too can be safe.
Be secure. Well, that is much we can take on this program today. However, whenever you lose your checkbook, if it is a leaf, make sure you report that check number to your bank. And how do you know? The first number on your check leaf, it comes in 0000 whatever. The first number on your check leaf is your check number. Then the next one in between has to do with your sort code number. Then the last one is your account number. So the most important one is the first one. Now, where you lost your entire check booklet, you can report it to the bank, and the series could be either 1 to 50 or 1 to 100. Just make sure you note them. And as you are issuing your check as well, be noting the check numbers you are issuing, because those are things that are needed for confirmation. Well, time is always a challenge on this program. You can continue with us on our social media as displayed on your screen. We call have the WhatsApp number there for you to send in your questions, and we are always on hand to attend to you. This program is designed to educate you and to make sure you know what you are doing with your bank. Till we come your way again, we are expecting to get more questions from you as relate with things that gives you problem in your various bank. Akin, it's nice having you on this program, and I think we need more time to talk on this maybe some other time. Till we come your way again, please keep a banking relationship. Thank you.
See you, if we not talk, nothing will change. See, don't look government, ain't the rain again. Start or join group to solve problems for your community.
If you know fit go internet or follow for Twitter, you know fit snap photo send or get it photo send. Now because you dey use Palasa, your phone no dey answer. See me see wahala. My brother, go get smartphone, yeah. Drop that Palasa phone. Phone wey no go for your hand, yeah. Drop that Palasa phone. Phone wey no fit take selfie. Drop that Palasa phone. No be correct phone, yeah. Drop that Palasa phone.
My people, no let Palasa phone fall your hand this year. Kia go buy 3G or 4G smartphone or bring that your phone conjoin MTN and then go summer you with 100% awoof data bam on top every data bundle way you buy for the next 3 months. So drop that Palasa now, change your levels so that you go fit enjoy fast internet on the network we get data for everywhere for we country Nigeria. This offer day open to new and old MTN customers.
We got a 24/7 light, we got water, we got the best amenities, and when I don't feel like going out, I just watch TV.
Nice. Star Times, right?
Come on, man. Can you get Fox TV on Star Times? Ebony Live TV? Discovery Family? Please.
Yes, ma.
Don't miss out on all the drama, action, and comedy on Star Times. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
News 24 Extra is taking it up a notch. You can now have news curated to your interest anywhere in the world with real-time notifications. Just go to Google Play Store if you're on Android or Apple Store on iOS. Search News 24 Extra. Download, it's free, it's easy. Now you can catch up with the latest news in politics, entertainment, lifestyle, sports, and much more. So stay connected with News 24 Extra. News at your fingertips.
Facebook, like our page and share our posts at People's TV NG. On Twitter, follow us at PTV_NG. Follow us on Instagram at PTVNG. Watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel, People's TV. Visit our website, www.ptvng.com. Subscribe now and join the conversation online. People's TV, people's preferred station.
Did you know that PTV remains the best place to showcase those lovely goods and services of yours? Yes, with our visibility in 36 states of Nigeria and over 50 countries of the world, we definitely have the tallest reach. What are you waiting for?
Act Amendment. Group accused France of sabotaging insurgency fight. Jonathan Aid admits disbursing $10 million. Hello and welcome to PTV Tonight. I am Aisha Jibrin. The Not Too Young to Run coalition wants the executive and the legislature to conclude issues relating to amendments of the Electoral Act by the end of September. They also urge President Muhammadu Buhari to sign the act early enough to ensure the integrity of the electoral process. The coalition said this at a press briefing tagged Yaga Watching the Vote.
We are very, very worried and concerned that Section 49 that deals with the accreditation of voters using the smart card reader or any other technological device as may be determined by the Electoral Commission was omitted from the version that went to the President for assent, Section 49 to be specific. It's important that the National Assembly comes out plain, as well as the executive, to explain to Nigerians what happened. Nigerians support the use of card reader for the elections to deepen the integrity of our electoral process. And that's the reason why this bill was first, or this amendment was first proposed. If you look at the two versions of the bill, and we do have the versions here, if you look at the two versions of the bill, they all have Section 49. Both the first and the second have Section 49. And these are the bills. And they all have about 41 clauses. They all have 41 clauses. But the final one that went to the President had only 15 clauses, which we've talked about. And Section 49 was omitted. How did this actually happen? It's important that the Nigerian public are informed, because the card reader is very, very, very critical to the integrity of our electoral process.
The Electoral Act 2018 bill forwarded by the National Assembly to the President for President Muhammadu Buhari for assent in August 2018 contained only 15 clauses, as opposed to 41 clauses in the original version of the bill. What happened to the remaining 25 clauses? 2. In the version of the Electoral Amendment Bill transmitted to the President for assent in August 2018, the amendment to Section 49, legalizing the use of smart card reader or any other technological device for accreditation of voters, was omitted. Yaga Africa, watching the vote, is concerned with the secrecy of the electoral amendment process. More worrisome is the failure of the National Assembly to inform the public on the amendments transmitted to the President for assent, as well as the silence on the part of the President when a modified version of the electoral amendment bill omitting key amendments was transmitted to him. This signals a lack of commitment to electoral reform.
The presidency has reviewed that the card reader was not included in the latest Electoral Act Amendment Bill, which President Muhammadu Buhari declined access to. Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters, Ita Enang, made this known in a statement issued in Abuja. Enang said the clarification became necessary in view of allegations that the card reader provision in the bill was one of the reasons the President withheld assent to it. He insisted that it was not part of the provisions of the bill forwarded to the President on August 3rd, 2018. The President's aide noted that by withholding assent to the amendment that excluded the card reader provision, Buhari had actually preserved it. The Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, the umbrella body of all registered political parties in Nigeria, is to set up a legal team to interact with the Independent National Electoral Commission on the menace of vote buying. Newly sworn-in IPAC chairman Peter Ame disclosed this to journalists at the INEC Electoral Institute in Abuja. Emmanuel Bagudu has the details.
It is the climax of a controversial election that saw Ame of the People's Progressive Party defeating UPP's Chekwaz Okori. The new IPAC chairman has taken office, and he says vote buying is the first hurdle the leadership has to deal with.
Weekly bi-weekly activity from one party headquarters to the other, so that we'll be able to know ourselves properly and discuss issues that relate to the Inter-Party Advisory Council, and be able to discuss issues on how to moderate the political temperature, on how to be able to deepen the democracy in Nigeria, on how to make sure that the purpose of which the Inter-Party Advisory was set up, to be able to work with INEC to see that this current, we have been able to eliminate ballot box stashing. But there's a new menace that is worrying the democratic system as we speak, vote buying. But we'll work with INEC. If you watch the national chairman of INEC, the chairman of INEC, in the last consultative meeting, he talked about vote buying being a very critical problem that must be solved collectively with these principal stakeholders, which are the political parties. We'll be able to work with them and work with him with open mind to be able to know that this problem does no longer resurface come 2019 election.
The election of the new IPAC leadership was not rosy. Some of the members took out time to reel out the way forward.
There's no doubt that in any election you will always have people who may be happy about it and some who may not be happy about it. But your ability to be able to move people together, to work together in the same direction, is the most important thing. And I believe the newly elected ESCO could do just that. Because we have serious issues ahead of us. The 2019 election is being watched by local and international communities. And they are expecting to see a very clean, free and fair election. Especially coming from the backdrop that a lot of vote buying took place in the state election. And people want to see that we don't have have such repeat performance. We want to see an election that is violent free. There is tension in the land already about the election. So the Interparty Advisory Council have a very serious work to do to ensure that this particular election in 2019 is as free and fair to all concerned, so that we can have a stable country.
The new leadership will liaise with the parliament to ensure that the corrected version is sent to the president, and will also ensure that the president signs by way of mounting public pressure, so that because the new amended electoral act holds the key to the dreams of Nigerians towards having free and fair elections, especially the issue of making the candidate legal, the issue of transmitting the results electronically, and then the issue of ensuring that the accreditation and the result, even before it's transmitted, agents of political party take a look at them. And for any reason, election does not hold in a particular area or the candidate malfunctions, election will be shifted to the next day. So you can see the issue of struggling and snatching of ballot box and candidate will be a thing of the past. So it will solve our electoral problem by 40%. So that is the focus of the new leadership of IPAC.
The IPAC leadership says its first port of call will be the office of the Senate President, where matters bordering on the Electoral Act will be discussed. Emmanuel Bakti.
Soldiers helping Nigerian soldiers to fight Boko Haram.
We will have to persuade Nigerian legislators.
This is coming together of people who are confused.
Executive order should comply with the law.
I personally dissociate myself completely. Personally.
From this interview, because you have said
there had hardly been any administration.
Practitioner, well explains the kind of justice about
no religious body in Nigeria.
Validate the claims by the INEC chairman. It is.
No, we refuse, so now we can wave our banner. Yo, get ready for what we have to offer from Texas boys. We got it on impulse. I say science. We got it on impulse. Silence again. We got it on impulse. And what? Yo, impulse. The stage is set, so let's own it. They say be this, they say be that, but all we want to be is just us, man. Fact.
Yes, it's warm. Buy an MTN SIM and dial *344# to unleash their potential. MTN M-Pulse. Learn, play, shine everywhere you go.
Thanks for staying. Now, before we went on that break, we took a look at the new leadership of IPAC, telling us their stand against food buying. Now, with us here in the studio to discuss more and shed more light on developing situations is spokesperson for the Inter-Party Advisory Council, Ikenga Ugochinyere. You're welcome to the studios.
Thank you.
Okay, now, for the sake of people who don't know or do not have the knowledge, and why was IPAC established and when was it established?
There was a coordination gap after our return to democracy in 1999 between the political parties, which is the only vehicle for acquiring political power in Nigeria, and the key stakeholders, especially the election management body, which is INEC. There was no formal and even informal interaction platform. And there are some things that INEC and the political parties need to sit down to look at. Whatever INEC is doing, the ultimate goal is to see political parties field candidates. So when you don't interface very well with the people that hold the platform, because right now we don't have position for independent candidates in our constitution. So the only way you can get to power is through the political parties. Then that gap occasioned a lot of preparation deficit on the part of INEC. Because since we are the ones on the field, we should be able to interact with you, tell you that the one you did last time didn't work because you should have moved it from here to here. So that was how the Inter-Party Advisory Council was now set up. The idea was brought by our former chairman, Perry Opara, who went to Ghana for a program then and saw the way they were doing it and then brought it home and our people accepted it. And that was how IPAC came to be. Today we have formalized it and we have code of conduct signed between us, our development partners and INEC.
Okay, now you just mention of the key responsibility of IPAC, liaising between the political parties and the electoral body in the state. Is that just the primary function, or do they have some sort of secondary functions that they
apart from, like we have code of conduct right now that we're promoting. Because if the political parties can be able to play by the rule, you see that 80% of the problems we have as has to do with election will go away. If political parties can be educated on ensuring that the right people are their flag bearers, the right people are elected, if political parties can also educate their followers to shun violence, to shun vote buying, to shun all sorts of electoral offenses, you can see that our democracy will improve. And if our democracy improves, the right leaders will be elected and the country will get the better part of it. Apart from that also, that preparation for election is more important than the election itself. How does INEC go about it? And that is what we do at the Inter-Party Advisory Council level. We interface with INEC. Like recently at our last meeting, INEC has to come with the format of the ballot paper for 2019 because there's 91 political parties. How are you going to have them on the ballot? And there were samples that were brought to the political parties because we are the one that are closer to the voters. We looked at it and we all agreed to have the one that is going to be like 4 phases. You got to have one party here, another one, like 4 in one and all that. And then the format of the ballot box. Right now we're discussing on how to reduce the issues of vote buying. Because when people pay people for this vote, they follow them to the polling booth and they want to see who the person is going to vote for. Now we're working with INEC to see how the polling booth will be secured so that the secrecy of the ballot and the sanctity of the ballot will be preserved. So even when you pay a voter, you will not even know what the voter is going to finally cast when the voter gets to the ballot place. So we're working on how to have a kind of foolproof balloting system that will secure the sanctity of the vote that the voter is going to cast. So there's a lot of things that IPAC is doing, but all geared towards deepening our democracy, ensuring a credible, free and fair election, and also ensuring that political parties are not just only vehicle for winning election, but also a vehicle for setting agenda that will help development.
Okay, now, I haven't said what you guys stand for. It's quite sensitive. Could you talk a little about the controversy that trailed the election of IPAC recently?
Well, it is really not controversy per se. Right now, we have fought an election battle. We have won. The way I will talk about it is not the way I would have talked about it the day before the election. But what actually happened that there was some outside influence. There was outside interest that felt that they can stay from their comfort zone and decide who becomes the next chairman of Inter-Party Advisory Council. And there were some people who played along with such people, and that was why you saw the timetable was shifted from the day the election was supposed to hold to another day. And then as we were getting close to the election, in the midst of the election, as the election was going on, police officers came to arrest one of the leading candidates who eventually won the election, Peter or PPA, and also the returning officer for the election, Tanko Yunusa, the chairman of NCP, National Conscience Party. But at the end of the day, chairman stood against that and election held. Even today, that was our swearing in, the police invited the newly elected chairman and the returning officer, but we have to first do our inauguration because we know what some of these people were planning. We have to have our inauguration, which your station covered before we now went to the police. And after the interfacing with the police, they gave him bail on self-recognition. But at the end of the day, we are one family. The 91 political parties, we are one family. We are going to represent the interests of everybody, despite the pre- and post-election crisis. I think we are putting it behind us.
Having said that, that is quite punchy because that leads to my next question. Being that you represent all parties, there are members of, the some sects that have promised and vowed to make sure that they remove the ruling party from opposition, from office. How would other parties, like the ruling party, for example, trust your group, being that they are not members of the CUPP?
Well, I don't want us to. It's something that when we're campaigning, people raised it during the campaign.
Exactly.
And I respect their views because of the sensitive nature of the two positions. Today, I speak for the opposition and I also speak for the Inter-Party Advisory Council. But I want you to understand, at the level of Inter-Party Advisory Council, we discuss about having a credible election process. We discuss about how to deepen democracy. We discuss how our funding partners, how the election management bodies can do it the right way. We don't discuss about who wins or who is going to lose. We discuss about the general welfare of the 91 political parties, including the APC, the PDP, and other political parties. That's what. But when we leave the Inter-Party Advisory Council, when we finish offering our advice to INEC, when we finish interfacing with them, we now go to our politicking. Remember, there is no chairman of a political party that doesn't have a partisan interest. It's not just about me. That's why we have political parties. Apart from CUPP, my political party will want to win APC. So, at the end of the day, when one of the leading candidates that lost, Chekwa Sokore UPP, he's supporting the president. His party is not selling nomination form. So, assuming he's the chairman, one will also raise the same question and say, oh, how can a man who is supporting President Mohamed Buhari lead us? But when we get to the table of Inter-Party Advisory Council, everything goes neutral. Then when we come out, we'll continue our inter-party politics.
Okay, so that doesn't sound like...
Yeah, when I speak, it's always categorical. If I'm speaking for APAC, I say I'm speaking for APAC. If I'm speaking for CUPP, I say I'm speaking. So I don't speak for CUPP and then say it's for APAC. Whatever we say in APAC will be something that the Executive Council, which is made up of 9 members, decides, and that's what I convey to the public.
Okay, so that means these functions do not intertwine, meaning there's no foreseeable future where, you know, leadership of these key parties will come together in a meeting to discuss.
No.
Not anytime soon. All right. Now, the INEC chairman is threatening to name and shame political parties that, you know, most of their elections lead to court processes. What is your take on this?
Well, I think our democracy is evolving, and we have not invested much in intra-party practices. The desperation for power. If the electoral process, like I keep saying, is credible, transparent, and free and fair, you will see that why people are moving to ruling parties is because some of them want to rely on state structures and state resources to win an election. So you now see that this friction comes most times in parties that are in power. Because there's lazy politicians who feel that once they grab the ticket of a particular political party, their way to power is very easy. But if the political process and the electoral process is transparent, somebody that is in AA, in AD, in APP can win. You now see that all this struggle for intra-party primary process will reduce. Like now you see in APC, look at the prices they are selling the forms. You see also PDP, their price is a little bit high. It's because people will still go and buy it because they feel that once they buy it and they win the primary, they can get to power. And look at what is happening on the mode of primaries. Some are saying intra-party, some are saying indirect, some are saying direct. You can see the confusion across the country. It's because people feel that once they grab the ticket of a particular political party, it's too busy for them to get to power. It's not about the people electing it, but it's about using some set structures and resources to get to power. So if we can get it right in terms of having an electoral act that is very sound, that reduces this things that leads to this struggle, I bet you there will be no need for intra-party crisis because you can be in AA and you still win the election.
Okay, now finally on the political party front, what is your take on internal democracy? Because like you said, there's been a lot of back and forth between what sort of primaries should be adopted and all of this controversy. What could you say or what do you see as the future of internal democracy leading to 2019?
I think it was because people were scared of the influence of money in the intra-party political process that people came up with the idea of the direct primaries. The electoral had made provision for direct and indirect. But if you ask me which one would be in the interest of democracy and ensuring participatory people's involvement, it's direct primaries. Let all members of the political party choose who they want to fly the flag of the party. Because when you gather these super delegates in a particular area, somebody may end up writing the list and getting his list approved by the NWC of the party and then offering them money, and then 10, 20 individuals decide the fate of a political party that have over 1 million people. So direct primary will also help to deepen democracy and ensure that everybody gets involved. But like I said before, let's first get the Electoral Act right and see how it can be implemented, especially on this issue of card reader. Imagine a situation whereby if we go to 2019 election, there is nothing anybody would do. If you like carry 32 talks to a particular polling unit, you will not achieve anything because the accreditation that the candidate will do now will become constitutional and it will be electronically transmitted.
and accreditation and the outcome of the election, which is the result, will also be electronically transmitted. So as we approach the next collection center, all those talks that used to lay ambush to snatch the result and change it, whatever you're changing is useless because the result you want to change is already transmitted. And if the election goes into dispute, INEC prints the satisfactory copy of the transmitted result and you tender it in court as evidence. You can see that, like what happened in Rivers recently, where you see armed men going after the card reader. That would have been waste of time because the law made the provision now that if for any reason there's no voting in this particular area, election will be shifted to the next day. And you bring a candidate that is working for election to hold in that particular area. So all this incident form issue where people will go, a candidate will accredit 20 people, and then 1 million people will be recorded with incident form. All these things will be a thing of the past, and it will reduce the struggle you are seeing in the political parties.
Okay, now the clamor that has just been happening, the presidency just came out to debunk that the card reader is not part of this current electoral act bill, because there's been a back and forth about the presidency trying to. What is your take on this?
I think the president is playing games. With all due respect to him, I think he's not being sincere. Seeing a man that came to power, in an election that are judged to be free and fair, and the person who lost, even with all the issues of incident from accepted defeat, the least President Muhammad Buhari should have done to Nigeria is to give them an opportunity for free and fair election. I have not seen that enthusiasm in President Muhammad Buhari to see this electoral act passed. First of all, watch when it was sent to him. He pointed out Section 25, which is sequence of election, that Parliament has no power to touch on the sequence of election. That same position of Mr. President has been fought by the appeal court that said that Parliament have that power. But even with the constitutional power that the court have conferred on Parliament, Parliament still deleted Section 25. You can see Parliament is committed. See the effort by the Parliament. And they sent it back to Mr. President, only for Mr. President to wait at the end of 30 days. He had first week, second week, third week, he went to China. Then on the midnight of 30 days, he sent it back and said there was sequencing issue, there was typographical error. And now they are working on it. Now we're hearing another story that he says some clause are not inside. Why does he keep bringing it one bit, one bit, one bit, one bit? I bet to my sister, by the time Parliament finished cleaning up the electoral act and sent him, don't be surprised if Mr. President said they use is in a place that was supposed to use was. So I'm not seeing that enthusiasm. He has not shown the energy with which the Parliament is going about it to see that the Electoral Act comes into being to help us solve part of this problem. The Electoral Act, apart from the card reader, electronic transmission, there's a whole lot of things in that law that will deepen our electoral process. And if it is not signed, 2019 is going to be a war zone. You have already seen what happened in Rivers over ordinary state assembly election. Imagine what will happen senatorial governorship. It will be a gun race. So to avoid the situation whereby there will be total shootout across the country, give them a law that will make the election foolproof and stop all these destructive things that happen during the election. That is the only commitment I feel he owes Nigerians, going by the way he came to power.
Okay, now let's quickly have you make a comment on what's been happening. We've seen recently, purchase of nomination forms. We've seen different groups coming on to buy nomination from for aspirants, and then we've seen, of course, some sects coming to say this contravenes, Section 91, where you can't give more than ₦1 million to a particular candidate. Now, as a group, as IPAC, have you people discussed this? Has this come to your table? And if it has, what resolution, was made?
At our inaugural meeting today, one of the things our newly sworn in chairman, Peter Ahmed, said he was going to take up is on the issue of ensuring that we don't have a situation where it becomes too poor to run, to ensure that political parties reduce their prices. And that is why we're going to have our first meeting with all the political parties to look at. It's not about this nomination form, this is not the essence of having political parties. It's for us to have opportunity to have credible people to be able to get into power, to make democracy to work for our people. It's not actually a money-making venture. There's other ways political parties can realize money apart from sale of nomination form. The money they are selling, even from the level of PDP and the APC, is outrageous for a young man that is 31 or 32 that just maybe started the work and wants to seek public office to be able to buy the form. It's too expensive. So they have to reduce it. Unless they're saying they want to shut out young people who have capacity to bring development to the country. So at the level of APAC, we're going to confront that, to also see how we can work with parliamentarians, because it was one of the things we agreed today, to make a legislation to limit the amount of money political parties charge their members when they want to aspire for public office. That will help to open the space and let a lot of young people to participate in that process.
Okay, now there's been some school of thought will disagree with you on that and say that, politics. Are you trying to look for a benchmark, or are you trying to say that all political parties should open the floor? Being that, if you see APC their forms wasn't this expensive, but being that they're in power now, they have the right to, you know, increase these forms. People have come to clamor, okay, the national leader who is a rights person is supposed not to be seen with all of this. But let's look at it from the point of view of these political parties that set, you know, this benchmark. They've given the youths the not too young to run. And wouldn't this be just handing out everything to the youths that claim they are prepared?
First of all, my sister, all over the world, young people are driving political development, they are driving economic development, anything that you do, knowing the level that today Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world, that people are losing their job every day, that people don't have that economic power to get involved in projects like election. If there's any incentive you can do to your young generation to actually get involved in this political process, I think it's a national duty that the country owes them. There's nothing wrong in that. Our founding fathers and our leaders, they had opportunities in the 60s, in the 70s, when there was no money involved in political process. So anything they can do to allow young people, because whether you like it or not, people that are driving the change you're seeing all over the world, both in social media and everything, is young people. The people that are 78 are not driving the change. Yes, there are elders who need their experience, but any nation that is not running on the energy of young people is not going to make progress in this 21st century. So any sacrifice or any cost that government can bear to help young people get involved in political and decision-making process, it was it. And I want you to also know, on the issue of fund, most people make the argument that you cannot tell political parties how much to charge because you are not funding them. Maybe government have to take a look at the possibility of giving political party funding so that they can stop putting financial pressures on their members. And also, it's important for you to know that if young people don't get involved in the political process, if it is something that is meant for people, you know, from 70, 80, then are you expecting Nigeria to, you know, transform and beat other developing nations? They will be wasting our time. We need young people in the front. We need young people to drive this, and that is the only way Nigeria is going to grow.
Okay, one of the cries of most states that are coming to say they cannot have direct primaries and need to opt for indirect primaries is lack of proper register of its members. This has been one key issue that has been affecting, you know, most political parties. What is IPAC as a group trying to do to curtail this? Is there going to be like a central system where all members of each registered party will be, or how will this be curtailed?
First of all, we have said it even at the level of IPAC. Those political parties that are resonant like that are being mischievous, because let me tell you why. In Osun, when APC decided to use direct primary, there was complaint about the register not being tied, but they still went ahead. Now, the APC has adopted that the presidential primary will be direct. In that case, the whole register in the 30 states is correct. If not, are you going to use a register that is not correct to elect the president? So how come now some states are saying, no, the register is not complete, so therefore they're going to go indirect? So what will happen when the presidential election for the president comes? So, you know, politicians at times have a way of, when it's not suiting them, they'll find a way to divert it. I think people are just being, you know, a kind of, you know, giving out half-truth. The registers are correct. All you need to do is to close register maybe 10 days or 5 days to the election. Let everybody get registered in your political party. Give them card and let them decide. It's all about mobilization. It's also for the good interest of that political party. Open your membership to everybody. It's also in your own interest to get more people, because if people get involved in direct primary, the chances that if I elect you in a direct primary that I will vote in the general election is always high. So it's for the good of every political party should not, you know, try to close it, or they should open. That's what it's all about. Let the people get involved and let the people decide who they want, both at the level of the political party and at the level of the general election.
Okay, now finally, let's talk about the election that is closest to us, you know, the Osun election that is coming up. As a group, what is the group, you know, put in place? What are we to expect to see from, you know, starting point? What have you guys tried to tread? What waters have you leveled for the Osun State governorship elections?
We have had interaction with the INEC chairman, and we're also requesting for another one, because at the last Ekiti election, he made assurance to the political party that the army and the police will not be actively involved in the process, especially as it has to do with collection and so on and so forth. They have a particular space where they're going to stay. But when we went to Ekiti, we saw something that looks like a war zone, and there's something that keeps happening, you know, eve of election, and it's very worrisome. You see the key leaders of a particular political party, you know, opposition party in that particular state. You know, you see DSS or police getting involved in arresting some key leaders of those political. That is not fair, because when you take the campaign manager, maybe the chief of staff to that governor or the local government chairman, you want to leave his flank open That's not competitive at all. You are suppressing their participation in the process. So we want a situation whereby INEC will assure us this time around that the police and the army will play their normal security role of not having anything to do with the ballot. They can only come in when there is any threat to the ballot. But when it has to do with collecting results, allowing agents, imagine when there's collection, you stop the agent of a political party from entering inside the collection venue. You already, shutting that agent out. All these things give room for manipulation. So we are demanding that this time around, the INEC chairman must ensure that the roles of the police, the DSS, and the army is limited to that role of staying in case if there's a problem, they come in and help to solve it. But if it has to do with, ballot paper, accreditation, they have no role and they should not be allowed to come near that particular process. And more importantly, ensuring that the results are announced and each polling unit and pested. The idea of some people carrying the result from polling unit to a particular collection center and then along the line, fake results will come in, this has to stop. And that's why it pained us that we lost a golden moment of testing the new the amended electoral act in Osun. Most people have said, oh, it was deliberate. Because if we had that, we would have been able to know whether this is going to work very fine to ensure that the automatic transmission of the accreditation and the result was, because they are not going to use incident form in Osun. So what if people go to snatch ballot boxes left, right, and center, and then they use incident form to make up for the result? That would defeat the whole essence of people expecting free and fair election. But we hope there will be free and fair election in Osun. Just that recently, this is on a personal note, we are worried on the story that broke out that there was a payout of 16 billion by the government to Osun Paris Club Fund. And we have made inquiry, no state government have received such money. So we're wondering, why would the government pay 16 billion to Osun alone and, few days to election? And still, the salaries of workers have not been paid. So is the money meant for payment of that salary, or is it going to be used for vote buying? And I expect that the media will engage government on this to actually find out, was that money paid and what for? If it was salary, then let's see the man pay the salary.
That is quite important. Of course, we'll definitely shed our touchlight on that. Thank you so much, Ikenga Ugochinyere. That he has been the spokesperson for the Inter-Party Advisory Council. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Aisha.
You're still on to PTV. Tonight it's time for a quick break. More stories when we return. Do stay.
People's Television Nigeria has gone mobile. You can now watch PTV Nigeria on the go, anywhere in the world. For real-time notifications, just go to Google Play Store if you're on Android or Apple Store if you're on iOS. Search for PTV Nigeria. Download. It's free, it's easy. And now you can catch up with the latest news analysis and political discourse on the go. So stay connected with PTV, Nigeria's #1 online TV.
Soldiers helping Nigerian forces fight
We
Boko Haram.
will have to persuade Nigerian legislators.
This is coming together of people who are confused.
Executive order should comply with the law.
I personally dissociate myself completely. Personally.
From this interview, because you have said
There had hardly been any administration.
Under the law, no religious body in Nigeria.
Validate the claims by the INEC chairman. It is.
You're welcome back. President Muhammadu Buhari will on Tuesday collect his presidential nomination and expression of interest from members of the Nigeria Consolidated Ambassador Network who bought the forms would hand them over to him. The group had on Wednesday purchased the forms for the president but had not been able to hand them over to him because the president was in China. The Senate President, Bukola Saraki, says his presidential aspiration is driven by an obsession for justice, fairness, and respect for the rule of law. He made this explanation on Monday in Makurdi. Saraki visited to solicit support for his presidential aspiration ahead of the presidential primaries of the People's Democratic Party. He insisted that it was the turn of the North Central geopolitical zone to produce the nation's president, declaring that he was ready to provide quality leadership. And in Lagos State, the Governor Akinwumi Ambode has declared his intention to seek re-election in 2019 on the platform of the All Progressive Congress. Ambode spoke at the open ground of Alausa while addressing party faithfuls. He had earlier picked his nomination form at the APC headquarters in Abuja. And in Rivers State, where we have heard that all may not be well with the Rivers State chapter of the All Progressive Congress. This is because the splinter group of the party loyal to Senator Magnus Abe has adopted the direct primaries for selecting APC candidates ahead of the 2019 general election. It could be recalled that the Rotimi Amechi-led faction of the party had on Thursday adopted indirect primaries as a mode of selecting candidates for the election. But a communique issued by the Abe faction after its state executive committee meeting in Port Harcourt indicated that the decision to adopt the direct primaries was aimed at making elections reflect the will and aspirations of the people. Dudafa Warikpamo Owen and aide to the ex-president Goodluck Jonathan on Monday told the Federal High Court in Lagos that he received a disbursed $10 million from the ex-president at the ex-president's instructions, rather. The former presidential aide is standing trial alongside Joseph Iwojo, a former manager of Heritage Bank. Both men had earlier pledged not guilty to the 23-count charge of fraud preferred against them by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. At the resumed trial, AFCC prosecutor Rotimi Oyedepo continued the cross-examination of Warikpamo Owen, who was the only witness in his own defense. When asked to confirm if he received $10 million on the instructions of the ex-president, he said the money was given to him by Prince Atoezi on the instruction of the ex-president. He added that he was asked to change the funds to local currency and disburse to the company's accounts given to him. Responding to another question on whether the dollar conversations and payments were made by the Bureau de Change agent, the former presidential aide said the funds were disbursed through physical cash transactions to the various accounts. Justice Mohammed Idris has since adjourned the case until September 18th and 19th for continuation of trial. The trial of former Abia Governor Orji Uzor Kalu over allegations of $3.2 billion fraud is been stalled by the Federal High Court in Lagos due to his absence in court on health grounds. Kalu and the former Abia Commissioner of Finance Ude Ugo were charged by the EFCC for stealing the sum belonging to the Abia government. At the resumed trial on Monday, the former Governor's Counsel Gordy Uche said Kalu was currently in Germany for surgery. He told the court that the medical appointment, which the court had granted permission for, was meant for August 2nd, but he could not get a flight to Germany on time. He explained that Kalu's surgery was rescheduled to September 10th, but EFCC prosecutor Rotimi Jacobs argued that the time the court granted the first accused to travel for his operation had elapsed. Justice Mohammed Idris in his ruling held that a 6-week adjournment granted on July 31st to the first accused was granted as a result of his continuous presence. He, however, adjourned the case until September 20th and September 21st for indefinite trial. Many residents in Lafayette have been feared dead when a petrol station exploded in the state capital. A firefighter who confirmed the incident to newsmen said the fire had been brought under control. A station caught fire as workers offloaded gas at the plant. Shops and houses were also burnt. The fire, which swiftly spread to the other side of the road, was said to have also caught passers-by as they scrambled for safety. Some civil rights activists have accused France of sabotaging Nigeria's efforts at stemming the tide of Boko Haram insurgency. They say the Western nation is colluding with the Cameroon, Niger and Chad to frustrate Nigerian troops. The activists laid the allegations during a protest march at the French embassy in Abuja. Emmanuel Bagudu has more.
Not even the stormy rain was harsh enough to deter these protesters. They are bent on making their case against the French. Their complaints revolve around one issue: Nigeria's insurgency. And they believe that France has indirectly aided Boko Haram by failing to tax its allies on Nigerian borders to take action against the remnants of Boko Haram fighters.
Countries that have been identified as telling the final dismissal of Boko Haram are France and its former colonies, Cameroon, Chad, and Niger, and Niger. France reportedly has long-term economic and geopolitical interests that has made it an active sponsor of the carnage that was visited on the region by Boko Haram. It has done this covertly and overtly.
The group believes that Nigerian troops are not enjoying the cooperation they deserve, despite the existence of a multinational joint task force.
What we have learned is that these fighters use this country as their new basis from where they travel to launch attack in Nigeria and retreat back to this country. The exceptional technique of killing a couple of terrorists that goes to the extreme in these countries is meant to conflict the world and create the impression that they are fully in support of Nigerian war on terrorism. If they were committed to not allowing Boko Haram use their land as a basis, they would have regularly returned the cost of the fighter that retreat into their various countries.
The French government is yet to react to these allegations. Emmanuel Bagudu, PTV News, Abuja.
Air Force jets have again hit Boko Haram facilities at Buka, Maryland, and Tumbun, Alua, on the fringes of the Lake Chad in Borno. Air Force spokesman Air Commander Bukunle Daramola said in a statement that many insurgents were killed in the operation that was carried out on Sunday. He added that the attack at the Buka, Maryland was based on credible human intelligence reports indicating the presence of some insurgents along with their equipment within the settlements. The Air Force used a combination of Alpha jets and F-7NI aircraft. The United Nations is demanding for better shelter for victims of human trafficking in Nigeria. Maria Garza, the UN Special Rapporteur on trafficking in persons, however, appreciated the efforts so far put in place by the Nigerian government to put a stop to the menace. Paulum David reports.
Human trafficking has remained a persistent issue in Nigeria. It has manifested in several ways, ranging from slavery and forced labor to internal trafficking, mainly from rural to urban areas. The Almajiri practice in the northern Nigeria has also been tagged the form of human trafficking. All these have now attracted the attention of the United Nations.
It is a massive phenomenon of severe exploitation and enslavement and forced labor of an important number of people. So if this is the situation, of course, resources dedicated to counteract the phenomenon must be adequate, and I think that they are not at the moment.
She also hailed the civil society for its contribution to the fight against trafficking in Nigeria.
Better funding from international community to source countries, to transit countries, but with two warnings. The first warning is that guarantees for the respect of human rights should be part of the designing of such initiatives. And the second warning is that this initiative should aim at identifying at an early stage vulnerabilities of migrants, be they in source countries, transit countries, or destination countries, and provide for assistance, support, counseling, rehabilitation for the vulnerable migrant population.
The UN, however, wants more efforts to be put in place into providing returnees with valuable job opportunities other than life skill training. Palum David, PTV News, Abuja.
And on economy, equity transactions on Nigerian Stock Exchange resumed for the week on negative notes on Monday, with the market indices dropping by 1.25%. Market capitalization shed 156 billion naira or 1.2% to close lower at 2,270 trillion naira against 2,426 trillion naira posted on Friday. Also, the all-share index, which opened at 34,037 on Monday, lost 426 points or 1.2% to close lower at 33.6%. Now, the volume of shares traded dropped by 11.75% as 437.63 million shares worth 1.36 billion naira were traded by investors on 3,104 deals. UBA emerged investors' delight, exchanging 16.66 million shares valued at 122 million naira. And finally, on the news tonight, to have the weather outlook, where the Nigerian Meteorological Agency has predicted possibilities of thunderstorms and rainfall activities over most parts of the country on Tuesday. NIMET's weather outlook predicted moderate rains over Abuja, Lokoja, Bida, Mina, Ilorin, Yola, Makurdi, Mambila, Plateau, Lafia, Jos, and environs in the morning. It added that its isolated thunderstorms and moderate winds were likely in the afternoon and evening period, with day and night temperatures of 25 to 30 and 16 to 24 degrees Celsius, respectively. The agency predicted the northern states would experience morning thunderstorms over Sokoto, Gusau, Yewa, Kano, Katsina, Zaria and Kaduna axis, with cloudy condition over the northeastern axis. It also anticipates moderate rains over Ado, Saki, Akure, Abeokuta, Ikeja, Osogbo, Ondo, Ibadan, Abakaliki, Umahia, Uyo, Calabar, Port Harcourt, Warri, Yenagoa and Eket axis in the morning hours. And that's all on the news. On behalf of PTV News production crew, many thanks for watching. I am Aisha Jibrin.
my name is Femi Anikula Kukuti. This is just to tell you, beg you, plead with you, don't let anybody lure you into being violent. It's very important for us to have a peaceful elections. We need to think about the future of this country, of our children. We can be a great nation. And the first step is desist from being violent. Let's have a peaceful elections.
Gratitude is my attitude. Giving is in my character. The more you give, the happier you are.
Sunana Yakubu, amma an fi sani na da Yaks. Abu mafi mahimmanci shine har yanzu muna zaune da kwayar cutar polio a kasar mu. Wasu sun san digon rigakafin polio, wato digo biyu da ake bada na baki. Wasu kuma ba su san da haka ba. Wasu suna tunanin wannan digo guda biyu sau ɗaya kawai ya wadatar. Shin digo biyu ya wadatar? Bari mu bincika. Yaya aiki?
Lafiya kalau.
Digon mai guda biyu kawai zai isa soya kosai?
Ba zai isa ba.
To, ta ce ba zai isa ba. Ina zuwa. Na gode. Shin za ki amfani da digon nono guda biyu kawai ki dama fura?
A'a ba zai yiwu ba gaskiya. Saboda nonon ne yake taimakawa wurin dama furan.
Na gode. Tambaya nake, shin digon ruwa biyu kawai zai isa hada shayi?
Ai ba zai yiwu a hada ruwa da shayi da digon ruwa biyu ba. Dalili kuwa ai ba zai isa mutum ba. Dole sai ya kai kaman kofi daya.
Barka da.
Barka gare.
Da Allah tambaya nake so yi.
Allah sa na sani.
Shin digon man fetur guda biyu, digon man fetur guda biyu zai isa ya sa wannan mashin aiki?
A'a ba zai sa shi aiki ba gaskiya.
Dalili ba?
Saboda ai bai wadace shi ba.
Haba.
Kwarai da gaske.
To nan ina zaka?
Dan je nan bayani.
Da Allah bari bi ka. Allah bai na wani.
Lafiya lau.
Kwayan gishiri biyu kadai. Shin zai isa ya sa naman nan daɗi?
A gaskiya ba zai isa ya sa naman nan daɗi. Sai an ɗan sa gishirin da yawa tukuna, sannan a haɗa, sannan ya garwaye naman har ya yi daɗi.
Na gode. Kuma yadda muka je, digo biyu kawai bai sa ya wadatar da wani abu mai ma'ana ba. Haka ma digon rigakafin polio, dole ne yaro ko yarinya su samu digo biyu akai-akai na rigakafin polio. Wannan digo biyu akai-akai shi zai wadatar wajen kare yaro ko yarinya daga kamuwa da cutar koko ko wace irin cutar polio.
We got a 24/7 light, we got water, we got the best amenities, and when I don't feel like going out, I just watch TV.
Nice. Star Times, right?
Come on, man. Can you get Fox TV on Star Times? Ebony Live TV, Discovery Family, please.
Yes, no.
We get all that and more channels safe. The StarTimes Classic Bouquet Reloaded is the best deal.
The best?
Well, if you're paying over 10,000 naira for a cable plan, then it has to be good.
Thank you, kid. We pay 1.9.
Choose it.
Get the best deals on channels like Fox TV, Ebony Live TV, ST Nollywood Plus, Discovery Family, and much more with StarTimes Classic Bouquet Reloaded for only 1,900 naira from September 1st to October 31st, 2018. Don't miss out on all the drama, action, and comedy on StarTimes. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
Netflix acquires worldwide rights to Genevieve Nnaji's Lionheart. I can't explain this pain, rapper Wale breaks down on Instagram. Rapper Drake and Meek Mill call it truce. Cardi B gets physical with Nicki Minaj at New York Fashion Week party. Hello and welcome to E360 brought to you by MTN. My name is Joy Oche. The weekend was so packed with interesting gist from our celebrities, and our very own Nollywood queen, Genevieve Nnaji, has made us proud again. An online movie streaming platform, Netflix, has announced that it has acquired the worldwide rights for the Nigerian actress's movie, Lionheart. The movie premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival on Saturday, September 8, 2018. Lionheart is Genevieve's directional debut and features the beautiful actress Nkem Owo, Peter Doche, and Onyeka Owenu. Now, according to Netflix, Lionheart marks the first Netflix original film from Nigeria.
Legacy I will leave for posterity is you, my daughter.
I think you're going to be a very good MD, Ma.
My father is still very much alive on you.
You must be a proud father. Of course, I'm immensely proud of my daughter. She's her father's daughter.
Chief. Chief.
Daddy, what's wrong?
My deepest condolences. Sorry, my best wishes.
A Lionheart will have to soldier on until I get back on my feet. I now name my replacement Chief Godswill.
His reasons have nothing to do with you being a woman. Your uncle is just here to supervise.
I'm going to change a lot of things in this establishment.
So, given our current situation, can you tell us how bad the numbers are?
Bad. Lionheart is in severe debt. 950 million naira.
What?
And now it's time to pay up. In 30 days. Or risk losing everything.
Okay, so we're actually really proud of Genevieve. I mean, that is a very huge feat. Definitely is to be celebrated, and we're really proud of her. Now, the East Nigerian actress Genevieve, who recently attended the premiere of her movie Lionheart in Toronto, has said she is proud to be a feminist. Now, basking in the euphoria of the acquisition of worldwide rights to her movie by Netflix, the actress said in an interview with online media tabloid Women and Hollywood that she embraces her femininity. She said, "I'm a proud feminist who embraces her femininity. I feel sometimes women are made to feel self-conscious and ashamed of their womanhood, perhaps like Wonder Woman,
We may wake up one day to discover that it is our superpower, and then we would be unstoppable. Now, speaking of the movie, Genevieve said it is rooted in African culture, and she has inspired to make the movie by drawing inspiration from a close friend and family-run business in Nigeria. When asked to give an advice to other female directors, Genevieve said she doesn't consider herself worthy enough to give an advice, but encourages all her colleagues to eliminate fear and self-doubt.
Legacy I will leave for posterity is you, my daughter.
I think you're going to be a very good MD, Ma.
My father is still very much alive on you.
You must be a proud father. Of course, I'm immensely proud of my daughter. She's her father's daughter.
Chief. Chief.
Daddy, what's wrong?
My deepest condolences. Sorry, my best wishes.
A Lionheart will have.
Okay, so definitely Lionheart is a very, very remarkable feat for Genevieve. And a whole Genevieve, how can you say you're not, you're not worthy enough to give an advice? I feel like she's just being humble, a whole Genevieve. Anyways, like she said, all you need to do is eliminate fear and self-doubt, and you're good to go. Now, former PR manager to singer Harry Sung and Anusiobi Frank has called him out after his depression story, and he believes it was just a publicity stunt. Frank, who took to his Facebook page to narrate the unpleasant experience he had with Harry Sung while working with him, advised him to turn a new leaf and apologize to the people he has wronged if he actually seeks peace in his life. It is painful seeing you pass through depression at this moment, but honestly, if truth be told, you really need to beg for forgiveness from a lot of people. For me, I have forgiven you long time ago, but the pains you caused me will always stick to my head. Bro, just pull your pride and apologize to those you have hurt. Why did you think all the good and successful people that suffered to make the Harry Sung brand strong are no longer with you? Where is KC Ogujiofo, your manager back then? I will still call you a big bro, but that doesn't mean I will call you a good person. But to me, I know you well, and I can tell what you're doing is a publicity stunt. But if it's not, God see you through.
Enemies don't go by kerosene. They put my manta for cellophane. They want to eat me like a dovine. Them call a buggy, say bring some sugar cane. Ooh, ah, there's some things I cannot take.